Alright, what's up guys? I'm Dignity and I'm going to be answering the question that I always get at least once, twice, 10 times a stream. How the fuck do you know what to pick up in this game? To do that, I think you need to understand what items are, like how they're derived, so that you can understand why they have value. First things first, like whether you're like new or experienced player, you may have had moments where like, fuck, did I just vendor something that may have been good? I put something up on XYZ and like instantly within 30 seconds I've got 40 fucking PMs of people like, okay, give me. Probably indication that you've missed something on that item. There's something good and you haven't seen it. So the biggest important factor, like the cornerstone of your knowledge, should be how items are derived. And that's very, very easy once you understand how Path of Exile determines an item, right? So if you look at any given rare item, let's just pull one up here, like my boots, for example. Rare items have enough space to hold 6 modifiers, 3 prefixes, and 3 suffixes for a total of 6. You can't have 4 suffixes, and you can have less than 3 prefixes or suffixes, and sometimes that's actually very good. So, for example, on this pair of boots that I'm looking at, the maximum life roll is a prefix. It rolled 79, which is quite high for boots. The fire resistance and cold resistance are suffixes. So I cannot put an additional fire or additional cold resistance roll on there. However, I could put a lightning resist roll, or in my case, I've chosen strength because my build needs it. The max movement speed, increased movement speed, is also a prefix, so that's 2 prefixes. And then the hybrid roll, which is energy shield and stun and block recovery, is 1 roll. So it rolls 1 roll that has 2 affixes for it. And that's also a prefix. So this only has room for 1 suffix, but it's actually really, really good for me because that means I could maybe, right now I need strength, but if later I fill my strength requirement in some other way, I could remove the strength roll with the master and I could put something else on. The next evolution from this is, once you know that you've got modifiers rolling in prefixes and suffixes, it's important to know that all the affixes roll in different tiers, right? So we can pull up something like PoE affix, like this, if I can spell, PoE affix. I'll get there eventually. There we go. I'll misclick, then I'll get there eventually. And let's actually look up boots, since we have some boots here. And these were energy shield, right? These are pure energy shield boots, Arcanist slippers. So this website, and there's also a full entire list on GGG's website, which is much more accurate than some of these fan created things, but it's not very user efficient. So I'll put links to both this PoE affix and the GGG affix, prefix and suffix lists in the description of the video. However, let's take a first and look at the maximum life roll that we got on our boots, right? So we see here that 70 to 79 is the viral roll for 70 to 79 life, and that's where our life roll so we've hit the top portion of that range, which is excellent. When you look at the other rolls here, could be athletes or rotund, meaning that it could have rolled a little better or it could have rolled a little worse. Now, the most important thing to know about this range list right here is that if you roll 3 to 9 life on an item, you cannot use a divine orb and make it 89. That won't happen. If you use a divine orb on a 3 to 9 life roll range, it will just re-roll within 3 to 9. So when you take a step back and you look at this, it's RNG what affixes you get, and it's RNG how big the value is that rolls for those affixes. So when you think about, dude, that item has 2 amazing resists, a really high life roll, and insane movement speed, that means we had to get really lucky, and we had to roll a life roll that rolls in here. We've got like a fire resistance roll that's right here, tier 2 as well, and I think we had a cold resistance roll on there that was 42, something like that. 34, right? So the cold resistance rolled down here, meaning it could have rolled a little bit better for us, but it's still pretty good in combination with the other rolls that we have. And last but not least, let's take a look at the movement speed. Again, it rolls here, 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 and here. So you're either going to get 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30. If you have the mastered rolls, as it's indicating here, those roll in ranges, which means if you mastered on Torah level 6 and you got 13, you could divine it as high as 17%. Or you could remove it and remaster it until you got a 17% roll. But if you're crafting the item, or the item just drops and you wisdom scroll it, and it has movement speed, it will be one of these standardized rolls here. So you can't divine them any higher. If you get 10%, use a divine orb on it, it's not going to change. So now that you understand that items roll with RNG of which mods are picked, and then again an RNG of how high those values can roll, you're able to take a step back and go, okay, if I see an item that has really high rolls, hopefully the combination of those rolls is valuable. And in some cases, it's extremely valuable, and in other cases, not so much. So for example, if we take again and look at these boots right here, if these boots had rolled with life, energy shield, and instead of rolling with maximum movement speed, it rolled with some other useless thing, let's just say, I don't know, let's pick one, right? Max mana, right? Instead of this max movement speed, this would be a much less valuable pair of boots because you'd be walking around slow as shit and mana is worthless. So it has to roll the right mods, and it has to roll enough of those mods to begin to accrue value in a specific item. Then, like, once you have that base knowledge, you're able to take any item that you look at and just wisdom scroll. We'll just go wisdom scroll something in here, right? And say, okay, the dexterity and intelligence rolls are alright. This didn't roll any life. Who really needs rarity on their helm these days? And the evasion roll is super low. So that's not a very good item. Here you go, babe. Enjoy. However, when you wisdom scroll something that looks like this, you go, okay, wow, dude, high life roll, 2 excellent resistances. There's room for more mods on it, at least 1 suffix, and it has a really nice movement speed roll. This right here has value. The next thing that you can do is you can take a peek at what all the builds are playing, aka all the people are playing as far as builds are concerned, aka the meta. What is good right now? And the meta, for like a brief summarized description, imagine it like a current. And you are in the middle of the current, and so is everybody else. And the current is the fastest and strongest way to get to wherever you're going. Progression of the game, progression of your build. So if you are looking at meta builds, and in this example, we're talking Blade Flurry, we're talking Ancestral Warchief Totems, we're talking anything that everybody is playing. Even some traps are decent right about now. But Starforge, Lacerate, those key builds that are really, 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 really strong, everybody's going to want gear for. That's the current. That's what's driving the game forward. As patches come out, as skills are introduced, as other items are introduced, the meta shifts. It changes. What's good this league may not necessarily be good next league. So because of that, if you understand what people are playing as far as builds are concerned and what items those builds need, you have a huge leg up. Because if you see something and you know for a fact it can be very valuable to a particular build that everybody wants to play, that item has value. Even if the rolls aren't that great, it may be really, really good to sell it right away without even touching it in some cases, because you know that people are going to want that. Earlier in the league, worse gear sells easier, and later in the league, the bar for gear slowly rises. As more people have currency, they're willing to spend more on better gear, and as more people are playing, a lot of worse gear just gets thrown up on the PoE trade, so it's very easy to get some 1 chaos stuff. Outside of that, it's like really, really important to pick up all types of currency, especially if you're a new player. If it drops and it looks like it's currency, pick it up. Wisdom scrolls are the very core fundamental piece of currency, and in the beginning you'll be picking those up a lot. Portal scrolls all the way up to chaos, alchemy, fuses, anything, jewelers, alts, anything that drops, just pick it up and throw it in your stash. You may at some point in time decide, okay, my build is clearing quickly, I know that I really don't need wisdom scrolls or armor scraps or blacksmith whetstones, and you may choose to not slow down or break to pick those up. But ultimately, in the very beginning of the league, for sure, it's important to pick up every scrap. Chromatic items, anything 3 sockets with red, blue, and green is a chromatic item. Vendor that for a free chrome. All the uniques that you find are exceptional to pick up. It doesn't matter if they're 1 chaos unique or an alch or whatever. Every league, I pick up every single unique that drops, I put it all in tabs, and I just list them for sale. Will I use these? Probably not. But if you're leveling a character, you've got a bunch of leveling gear in here that's very easy. And some people will pay a couple chaos for even the shittier uniques. Silver Branch or something like that might go for 1 or 2 chaos. All the way up to some of these uniques being quite valuable. So if you don't know what the item is, you can easily price it on PoE.trade. You can also track that item's value with PoE.ninja, and you're able to take a look at what historically that item is worth, what that item is worth this league, and whether or not you should sell or you should hold on to it. Some items decrease in value really rapidly. Face Breakers is a great example. In the beginning of the league, Face Breakers are really expensive the first 2 to 3 or 4 days. Because it's a really low drop rate, or a really high drop rate, and it's a really low level item, Face Breakers start to flood the market as more people are playing and don't need them. All the people who want them in the beginning snatch them up, and then they just kind of sit there and slowly drop their way down. And the reverse side of that is some items aggregate value over the course of the league. So depending on what items and uniques you're picking up, some of them might be perfect to sell right away. Others you might want to hold on to. Something that is also very, very valuable: maps, sacrifice fragments, mortal fragments, anything like that you can sell to another player for offerings of the goddess, a few chaos here, a few chaos there. All of that stuff is really, really, really important for you to push through getting your own currency for your own build. And you've also got things like essences, div cards, all of the league specific drops, all of them. Just pick them up. If you haven't purchased the essence tab, if you haven't purchased the div card tab, the currency tab, or the fucking insane quad tab, grab them. They will make your lives infinitely easier for $20. It's totally worth it. And the rest of the leagues that you play from this point forward, you will always have access to those tabs. And like I said, over the course of the league, over the course of playing, you'll begin to have an understanding of what items were good for you on certain things that you played. For example, you may play Blade Vortex, and you may realize that a really, really good spell damage and spell critical strike shield with high ES was really expensive for you, and it took you a week of grinding to get up enough currency to buy a good shield. So the next time you see a shield that has something along those lines of modifiers, whether or not you're using it or not, you instantly know, I played Blade Vortex, or I played a build that really needed this shield. It was really expensive, and you can judge what you have in front of you based off the items that you've had in the past. And the most important thing, outside of just fundamentally understanding what to pick up and why you should pick it up, is your game knowledge. The more that you play the game, the more items that you vendor by accident, the more trades that you get scumbagged on, the more builds that you play and realize how difficult it is to get certain pieces of gear to make them work right. All of that builds into you being able to look at a particular item and nearly instantly know that's good, that's mediocre, or that's not even worth picking up. So hopefully, as you play this league and the leagues in front of you, including standard, it's just the same, you'll be able to learn about the game in such a way that will help you when appraising items and seeing if things have value. So hopefully that is a really, really bare bones and concise answer as to what you should pick up and why you should pick it up. And I might delve a little bit in depth on a few of these topics because I think they could be worth a little bit more explanation. So thank you very much for listening, and definitely check out other videos, stuff related to this. If you still have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and I'll be happy to answer them as I see them. So thanks, have a great day, I'm out, peace.